Good morning. This lesson is for Wednesday, April the 28th. I hope you had a great day off on Monday and a great weekend. I hope you are all doing well. We are going to be on pages 302 to 303, and today's shout out will go to Christian. Christian, I hope you are doing well and you're having fun during this quarantine, as much fun as you can possibly have. So anyway, if you have not read the pages, go ahead and pause this, read pages 302 to 303, then come back and we will discuss it. Okay, so assuming that you have read it already, yesterday we talked about the Vikings who came from Scandinavia, and they were descendants, or the Normans were descendants from the Vikings. Iceland, up there in the northern part of the world, is where the Vikings descendants are from. We are going to talk about feudalism today, more like the peasants and the serfs. There's a difference between peasants and serfs, although they are very, very similar. Okay, the serfs were mostly tied to the land, but they could choose to work at the land. However, if they chose to work at the land, then their children would be serfs. So it's kind of like slavery, but not quite like slavery. I don't know, but I did put a video in the 6th grade section of the YouTube that explains a little bit more and goes into detail a little bit more than what we will do in this class, because it's 6th grade and they don't go into a lot of detail, but it's very interesting if you have time and you want to take a look and listen. I recommend you do that. Okay, so let's ask some questions here about your reading and see how much you learned, and then we'll discuss too. What danger did people face after Europe no longer had a centralized government? They could have been invaded by invaders, Sorry. Attacks from invaders is the correct answer. What protection did people have? People served wealthy businessmen who promised to protect them. How did nobles obtain estates from feudalism? The kings granted the estates to fiefs and to nobles who had performed a service for the king. So he granted estates called fiefs to nobles, right? And who helped a lord manage the fief? A vassal. What was the relationship between the lord and the vassal? So the vassal promised loyalty to the king, and then the king gave him land to work for the service. What was the main role of the knight? Protecting the lives of people and property. All right, so what kind of things do you think that the knight wore? Well, if you watched anything, A Knight's Tale or whatever, they wore armor. They wore a coat of armor too. And the reason being is because when they were covered, you couldn't tell who the knight was. So they had to have some kind of recognition. Oh, that's Joe, or that's Tommy, or something like that. So he carried a sword, a lance. He also carried a battle axe and a shield. From what class of people did the knights come? Nobles. So if you were a serf or a peasant, you couldn't be a knight, which I think is kind of cool. That's why I don't know if you've ever seen A Knight's Tale, but it's kind of like this peasant kid who dreams of becoming a knight, and he actually ends up being a knight. And it's amazing how people actually lived that way. What was it like for young boys to serve as a page? Well, they could do it when they were 7 years old, and they can go to the home of another noble and learn everything they could learn about being a knight. They could learn how to fight, they can learn how to work a horse, they can learn how to take care of a horse. They were kind of like a servant to a knight. And then the page did chores for the lord and the lady of the house. So look at the illustration above, and you see it says, one of the page's duties was to serve the Lord and his guests at meals. Dogs were important for protection and assistance in hunting. So what could a page become once he was about 14 years old? He could become a squire. And a squire is like a next step. He's still learning to become a knight and possibly grow up to be one after that. Looking at the picture again, you'll see, depending on whether it was a chain mail or full plates of metal, a knight's armor might weigh between 30 and 60 pounds. So take a weight, and then not only have to carry all that around, but you have to carry your shield, you have to carry your sword. You had to be pretty strong to be a knight. The lady of the manor supervised the household. When the Lord was away, she also managed the estate. The word squire originally referred to the one who carried the shield. And then the kite shield was often used by cavalry because it covered most of the body and was fairly light. This is what, if you were in class, I would give you like a paper that had a coat of arms and have you design it on your own. If you want to do that, you can Google coat of arms, and I'm sure you can print out a piece of paper, print out something and color it and use your imagination. If you do it, make sure that you take a picture so that we can see it, because I know Miss Gomez needs some more yearbook pictures. So what are some of the responsibilities of training a squire, and the responsibilities of a squire? He helped his master dress, because I'm sure putting on that shield is not easy. He accompanied him to hunts and in battles. That's crazy, huh? And then he cared for his master's horse. He continued learning archery, swordsmanship, and everything that he could learn in becoming a knight himself one day. What age could a squire become a knight? 21 years old. So what is the process then of becoming a knight? The squire spent the night praying in the church, and then in the morning, the other knights dressed him. He knelt before the Lord, who touched him on the shoulder with the sword and declared him a knight. And then how did a knight promise to behave? What was this code of behavior called? He promised to be generous. He promised to be loyal to his Lord. He promised to be skillful in battle and brave in battle. He was faithful to the Roman Catholic Church. He protected the weak and the defenseless, and he was courteous to women. And this was called chivalry. Just kidding. And then, when might a knight joust? During a tournament. They would have these tournaments that they would fight against each other and basically try to knock each other off a horse going full speed. There are several reasons why a knight would fight in tournaments. They would do this to practice their skills for battle. And it was just like a sporting event, like we would go to an A's game or a Giants game or, you know, go watch basketball or football. It was just type, you know, you can go and sit in the stands and, or popcorn or something. The people would go, I don't know if it was really like that, but it was just something that the people could do. They received prizes for winning and then promotions. So if they won one tournament, then they would go to the next and to the next. And it was like a goal to be like the #1 sportsmanship. Like if you were in the Olympics and whether it was gymnastics or something, you'd practice this and you would go to regionals and then, you know, well, I don't know that order, but then you end up going to the Olympics and then winning the gold medal and becoming the best in the world. And that's what the joustings and that's what the knights would do. They would do these tournaments and then they would go to the next tournament and their goal was to be the best in the world. But sometimes they would have to be pulled away and then go and fight a battle. So these knights were looked to as heroes. They were the Captain Americas. They were, you know, the Iron Man. They were pretty cool in the eyes of little boys and girls. And sometimes little boys would dream to become a knight. It was sad that it would be hard for some kids to do that, but it was something that everybody also though could enjoy. So a serf or a peasant could enjoy going and watching these tournaments and watching these knights perform. All right, so that is your lesson today. Was not very long, but I hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you to those who are actually doing the work and actually sending me notes and telling me who the person of the day is. I'm going to also start telling the person of the day, not necessarily in the beginning of the lesson, so that I know that you're actually watching the whole thing through. But like I said, I hope you have a good day, and I hope to see you on live tomorrow or today, because I get to do live today at 12 o'clock. I love you guys. Make good choices.